Everyone. Really, really nice to see you all. Um, I'm going to assume we're going to do what we got to do and in the time we have. So I can't believe that I chose this topic about activating intention and using your energy. And then Elizabeth Lindsay talked about that. So I am so excited to be here to make this even more, a little bit more explicit, perhaps, I guess is what I would say. And I'm going to do it without slides. So essentially, one of the things that I learned from my teacher was that we all have three ways to use our energy. Okay, every single one of us has three ways to use our energy, but typically we're not aware of all three, so we don't use them all. All right, and the first is dynamic. That is the energy of push. That's passion. That's fire. Lutzi was like a spectacular example of using dynamic energy. Right, it's very vibrant and dynamic. So that's dynamic energy. The second is receptive energy. That's what Elizabeth was talking about. When she talked about the space, the emptiness, and resetting your field, what she was talking about was tapping into that receptive state where you open up with no preconceptions, no dropping everything to get available to what can be received. This is where intuition comes from. This is where hunches, and this is where creativity, where ideas that come out of like left field come from. So that's using your energy receptively. And the third, and Elizabeth was doing this too. Did you feel like you just like wanted to melt into her, right? And remember when she said the wayfarer said that they pulled the island towards them? That's magnetic energy. That is the energy of pull, drawing towards you what you want, so exactly those three. So push, that's dynamic. Pull, that's magnetic. That's the wayfarer pulling the island towards him. And receptive, that's opening yourself up to what is available to be received. If we have the ability to use our energy in these three ways, we can more likely bring what we want into being. So typically we think we just have to push, but in fact, that is not always true. And in fact, the older we get, the less we can push. Our dynamic energy runs out. The supply of that runs out. So what we want is to pull. And the pull is really imagining like you're a magnet. So it's about being clear about what you want. I want to bring this thing into being. And then to imagine that thing is coming towards us, just like we were a magnet and we're pulling. Another way to think about it is, if any of you do fly fishing, imagine that you're casting out your rod towards the thing that you wanted, pulling it to you. It literally is, it's only a second's worth of work, so to speak. It isn't like dynamic where you have to keep pushing. It's a one-time or a practice where you do it and then you go off and do other stuff, right? So I'll tell you a story that'll inspire you about this. When I first learned about these three energy states, I realized that I was really good at receptive and I was really good at dynamic, but I had no idea about magnetic whatsoever. And so I started to practice it. And what I used it on was getting clients, believe it or not. So I'm terrible at selling. And so I thought, well, I can't do that very well. I'm awful at the dynamic energy of pushing to get clients. So instead, what I'm going to do is imagine that clients are coming to my email box. And I started to do that, and it really worked. The thing about magnetic energy, though, is it doesn't have a time attached to it, okay? So you have to, you don't know whether it's going to be tomorrow or next week or whatever. So I used to say something like, I'm imagining that good things, good opportunities are coming into my email box in the next couple of weeks. And it always worked. It was amazing, okay? So so magnetic is the law of attraction. So yes, I see in the chat, people are asking, is magnetic like the law of attraction? Yes. The thing that I think that's not accurate about the law of attraction is that it makes it sound like all you have to do is magnetize everything and you can lie around on a tuffet and not do anything else. And what I believe, which comes according to this other model I want to teach you, is you have to know what you're trying to create. All right. This is called, think of it as the desired result you want, or the vision, or the outcome. And so somebody said in there, well, I don't know what that is. Is getting receptive the first thing to do? Yes. You want to make sure you first say, all right, what do I want to bring into being? And that thing has to be something you really want. This comes from Robert Fritz in his book, The Path of Least Resistance. He says, how do we bring into being the things we want? And he knew the same stuff that these three energy states are about. He just he has different language for it. So here's what he said. So he said, you got to know what you really want. And you got to tell yourself about the truth about where you really are right now. Okay. So current reality is over here and what I really want is over here. And when you do that, then you see there's a gap. There's a gap between where you are and what you want. And most of us think that gap is a bad thing. But he said, no, this is the tension for creation, that the universe wants to help resolve that tension and give you what you want. And it wants to go from the less stable state to the more stable state. And what he says is the more stable state usually surprises people. It's what you want, not current reality. Because current reality is ever changing. First, we were all running around the world doing whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, and now we're all locked out in our houses, right? So current reality is always changing. But if you want what you really want, then that's always true. Okay, so what he says is, and this, you set up that tension, and this is where magnetism comes in, the magnetic energy comes in. So you set up this process of magnetic energy, and then you look for the path of least resistance that's going to get you to what you want. This principle, this practice is exactly what SheEO, the creation of SheEO, is based on. So Vicky said, this is what I want. I want to create this vision, and I'm going to be clear about that. I'm never giving up. So we're in year 6. But how we're getting there completely changes as we watch for the path of least resistance. All right? So when we stabilize on what we want, it doesn't change day after day, but we want to absolutely, so people just ask me, so this is Robert Fritz, The Path of Least Resistance, but you do not want to read his book. He's very, very, very esoteric and scientific. I would encourage you I'm happy to send out slides or talk about this again at other times. So he said there's 3 ways this process he believes always works, unless you fall into a trap that has 3 traps. One is that you get comfortable in the gap. You don't think you can have what you want, so you take the tension out of it. Oh, we couldn't really create a community that's giving away, $1 billion, right? So when you give that up, you take the tension out of the process, and it doesn't happen. The second thing that we do that messes up this process is we try to motivate ourselves negatively. If this doesn't happen, something bad's going to happen to me. I'm going to end up a bag lady. That's mine, right? And so this is a process, he says, for bringing what you want into being, and you have to be going toward, not away. Okay, you have to be going toward, not away. Fabulous. I'm seeing connections here about to urban planning. Okay, so the third way, and this is most important to those of us who have a lot of dynamic energy, we think we know how we're going to get there. So we insist, this is how I'm going to get to this thing, rather than looking for the path of least resistance. All right? So this can be often challenging for entrepreneurs because we think we've got a plan and we have a vision and we're pushing to get there. And we're not looking for the path of least resistance. So the point is to be able to really be always asking the question, I'm going to take action, but I'm going to look also, is this getting me towards those things or away? Okay. And so if it's getting you there, then you keep on doing that. If it's not getting you there, then you go, well, where is the path of least resistance showing up? So for an example is what happened to SheEO this year with getting the matching funds for more ventures. That wasn't our original idea, that we would have a bank match the loan. But suddenly that was the path of least resistance instead of trying to get 100 more activators or 1,000 more activators, right? So we look for that. And the more we look for that, then the more we're going to actually bring into being what we want. Okay? So I want to make this super, super, super concrete. So I want you all to for anything that you want to bring into being, tell yourself about the truth about what you want. Tell yourself the truth about current reality, and then do a very specific thing to use your energy. And that is a process that uses all three, because we need to use all three of our energy states in order to facilitate this process to make it easier. Okay? So, step one, you wake up in the morning, and the first thing you do, and it is imagine the thing you want and use your energy magnetically. Okay? Imagine it coming towards you. Pull it in. Okay? Then you get up and you take dynamic actions towards that, looking for the path of least resistance. And then you get receptive so you can see what is happening, what's occurring, what is actually there, where is the path of least resistance. And so those are the three ways. So someone says, in using three states, do we pull or push back? Okay. Brandy's asking, in using all three states, do we pull or push back inward to try to balance them? I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but I would say the way that I think about it is you're using your energy magnetically first to imagine that thing coming towards you. You're getting dynamic during the day to get into action. And then you're getting receptive to say, where is the path of least resistance? And the path of least resistance, it also has to do with the no's that you're getting as well as the yes, right? So the Quakers have a concept of this as well. They call it way open and way closed. They say when you get no, 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 that's way closed. Stop trying that direction. Look and where is the yes? Where's the yes? And you have to get receptive to look for the yes. Okay, how do we best do you meditate? Someone is saying, do you meditate if you don't empty first? My whole day is oriented with the first ideas that I have. Yes, this is what Elizabeth was talking about. Elizabeth was actually suggesting that you get receptive many times a day. Her idea, and if receptive energy is something that you want to work on or you feel like you need, then I would encourage you to do exactly what she said, which is, except I'd give a practical suggestion, which is put a timer. When the dinger goes off on your phone, then that means just to take a minute to totally empty and get super receptive. What was great is she described how to empty. So she described getting rid of all the thoughts, going into this empty place. All right. Somebody said to me the other day, well, how do you get receptive? So meditation is one of the ways. Another way is slow yoga. So yoga that's not fiery yoga. What else? I sit in my hot tub. I'm from California. That's what we do. What else is receptive? Massages, long walks. That's right. If you're quiet and if you're going slowly, it's about noticing the empty space that's 99.9% of us. Esther's asking about what about quieting the inner critic. So it's really just saying thank you. Notice that it's there. You just don't attach to it. It's like, oh, there's those thoughts. That's the way they always are. They come in, they go out. One of my teachers, Thich Nhat Hanh, says, imagine them in like clouds passing in the sky. Okay. So it's just like, there it goes. There it is again. That old thought. It comes every time. Thank you. Okay. Like that. So what else would you, yeah. Can you give some examples of following the path of least resistance? Sure. So I'll give you my personal example. So I always wanted to live in Hawaii, and I was selling my company, and I thought I was going to make enough money that I could buy a house in Hawaii. And I was so excited. Yay, I'm going to have this house. And of course, that didn't work out. And I sold it for the debt I was in. And so therefore, no house. So I just thought, no house. Well, it turned out that people who I know who are friends of mine and at the time clients of mine were inviting me to stay at their house in Hawaii. And I was going, oh, no, no, no. Then I realized, wait a minute, the path of least resistance is right here. And once I started saying yes, I've stayed for months at various people's houses in Hawaii for free. That's the path of least resistance. So it's about noticing and being able to then respond to that. But if you don't get receptive, if you can't receive, literally they were offering me a house and I kept saying, no, no, no. That's crazy, right? Because that's what I wanted. But because I was like, oh, I don't want to impose, I don't want to, I don't want to take advantage or whatever. And in fact, people really, really wanted to give that gift to me and didn't even know that was my dream. So that's an example of making sure you're looking for the path of least resistance. All right, so we are about to go in the other room, but if you want to see my slides, they're there too. All right, send you much love, everybody.